Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Crime Time with Dr. Debbie at Stu. I'm your host, Dr. Debbie Goodman, and I am so honored and delighted to have a dear friend and colleague of at least 20 years, but we don't want to date ourselves, but please join me in welcoming for today's program Dr. and Assistant Chief Robin Starks of our Opelika Police Department.
Yes, thank you so much. I am so excited to be here, and it's always a pleasure to be around your company because we've known each other for so long, and you've always been an inspiration in my life as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Assistant Chief Starks. And while we're on that topic, it's a mutual admiration society because you have been just such a dear friend and colleague, and I'm so proud of all the work you've done and continue to do. So thank you for taking the time to speak with our students today. So if we may dive right in and have you tell them, please, about yourself.
Well, I am a native resident. I was born and raised right here in South Florida. I grew up in areas such as Liberty City, Overtown, but the majority of my upbringing has been right here in the city of Miami Gardens. Back then, it used to be Carroll City. I reside in this city. My mother lives in this city, and this is a foundation for myself and my siblings. I am a graduate from American Senior High School. I started my career in law enforcement in 1989.
Wow.
Where I started initially as a public service aide. And ultimately, I ended up becoming a police officer. So I joined the police academy, graduated in 1990, and things at that point just kind of just spiraled off into a very positive environment, a great police department to work for. That has actually been the majority of all the careers and the experiences that I've endured in my life. Starting off as a public service aide, working in the fleet department, becoming a police officer, working in various areas from Liberty City to Overtown to Coconut Grove to Little Havana, Little Haiti. But one of the inspirational experiences that I had is when I started working undercover. I met my partner back then, Ray Socorro.
Oh, I know Dr. Socorro. That's another familiar name.
And
of course.
He was really a true partner. Even to this day, we're very good friends. And, you know, he would always tell me, you should go work undercover. You'll be a good undercover officer. He said crackhead, but good undercover officer. And I was like, I'll think about it. And he went as a jump out, and then I ended up going the following year working in an undercover capacity.
Wow.
Purchasing narcotics, things just, it was in a setting where you had to know what you were doing when you're in there with the community.
I'm sure.
And if you did not, it can go in any direction. But for me, my career just kind of spiraled off from working street narcotics. I had the opportunity to work closely with the robbery, the burglary detectives, working various undercover operations with them. I also did a couple of homicide cases with homicide where ultimately the individuals involved were apprehended. It was just a really good experience. From working in that different capacity, I worked in SIS, Special Investigations, where I was a part of dignitary protection, money laundering, smuggling, the vice details. So I did a lot, and I worked so closely with different agencies throughout Dade and Broward County. And the passion I had a lot was the interaction with the various departments, working with Homeland Security, working with FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, working with the drug enforcement agencies, DEA. It was just a good experience to be around those individuals and working collectively together. But after that, I ended up moving on, working in community relations. I worked internal affairs. But my passion was working at Miami-Dade College as a training advisor, where I started in 1998.
Wow. And that's where we met.
Yes. And I served in that capacity for about till 2015. And that's when I became the chief of public safety of Miami-Dade College.
Yes, I remember.
The Kendall campus. That was a great experience. And then things just kind of moved forward. I did work with Miami Gardens Police Department for a little shy of 6 years. And then ultimately I ended up here with the Opelika Police Department. So I am the second oldest just recently lost my older sister, but I am the second oldest of 4 siblings. And the good thing is that not only did I receive my doctorate degree, but both my sister and my brother have recently received. Well, my sister was before me, and then my younger brother, he just received his doctorate degree right now. So now we call ourselves the trifecta.
Absolutely.
The trifecta. So.
And your parents must be so proud.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
beautiful.
Yes, that's one thing she's always said is make sure we got our education, which is very important.
Very important.
Yes.
Well, congratulations, Dr.
Thank you.
Deputy Chief Starks, on just an amazing career,
Thank
doing
you.
so much for so many, and it's really valued, recognized, and appreciated, your service.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. May we pivot here to giving our viewers a little glimpse. I understand every day might be different, but if we were to just peer into your window for a day, what would a day in your life look like?
Ooh, well, I get up early in the morning. I go work out. That's one of the things I do. And I have a huge Roddy, so I usually take the Roddy with me when I go running, and that's usually really early. After that, I prepare myself spiritually and mentally, and I go into my workplace as the assistant chief. I understand the importance of my position and my duty in serving that position, and it comes with a different areas of responsibility.
Yes.
But in doing so, you got to make sure that, for one, you look out what's in the best interest of the residents in the community, and of course for the safety of the officers as well.
Yes.
Understanding that the job can be very challenging. I'm usually the voice or a mentor to provide guidance in a position that I'm in. Not only do I serve as a leader that someone look up to, but I also want to be that person that mentor and guide the young men and women into various directions that is positive not only for the department but for the community.
Beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
beautifully said. Can you share with us, please, and I know there must have been so many in this unbelievable, incredible career of yours, but the cases, we do a lot of the case studies and conversations in class, so might you share with our viewers one case, whether it was good, bad, or ugly, that somehow or other has stayed with you all of these years, and something that you were directly involved in?
So there's so much. Having worked in an undercover capacity, times that I was locked in homes or apartments where I had to, of course, without good communication, get myself out of those situations. But one of the things that I really am passionate about is a case that I was involved in. It involved an employee for the city of Miami, and I was asked to work in an undercover capacity. Their relative was shot and killed in the city, and they needed someone to go out there and hit the streets. I was already working in an undercover capacity at that time, so I was really honored to be able to work in conjunction with one of the best undercover officers. Her name is Shirley Harvard.
That sounds familiar,
too.
too.
She taught me everything. They called her Mama Rocket.
Wow.
Strawberry. So she taught me pretty much everything that I knew. And we went out and we worked undercover. We made contact. We were able to, and I'm soft-spoken, so sometimes people take that soft-spoken lightly, but I was able to portray myself as one of those little teenagers. I had a name called Taquisha, and I was able to identify who were the individuals involved in the case. I was also able to locate their locations just as via phone. But of course, the detectives did their intel, and I was able to follow up with the information that they provided. Subsequently, the individuals involved in that shooting were apprehended.
Wow.
And it was something that's honorable. It was just something to be able to remember. And some of the other things that I'm very appreciative of is being honored with all the hard work that I've done, receiving over 35 commendations, being honored through day chiefs, the International Association Chief of Police. Those are very memorable, but it also displays the hard work that was put into making sure that, of course, things worked out well. So,
Yes. Wow. Wow.
It's a lot. It's a lot to talk about. It's been decades. So.
Yes, but it's unbelievable that
Yes.
all the contributions and the ability to help and guide and mentor and be a role model and
Yes.
doing so much for so many, Dr. Assistant Chief Starks, is just really filling my heart to know you as a dear colleague and a friend and all of the wonderful work that you've done and continue to do.
Yes,
So
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. So, Dr. Assistant Chief Starks, we know that in our field of criminal justice law enforcement, mental health is really a significant, important issue today. Can you share with us and with our students some of your thoughts about what's happening in the mental health space, and are we doing enough to ensure that our first responders, our police men and women, are doing well mentally?
So I would say that there is so much that can be done and should be done in order to provide the officers with the guidance, the first responders that they need in the profession. Sometimes we get away from understanding that this is a profession that law enforcement choose. Individuals choose this line of work. But they also have to not only deal with the various incidents that occur when they're responding to call for service, but they also have to deal with their own personal lives. And sometimes, whether it's financially, whether it's spiritually, whether it's mentally, they go through certain things in their own lives and they need that outlet. So mental health has been something that has affected many officers. And I'll tell you one of the things that I remember. I have quite a few, but one of the things I remember, and it's stuck with me to this day, is working in Coconut Grove, and a young lady was hit by a car right there in front of us. And then just running out to render the aid and the assistance of that young lady until rescue was able to come. So that stays with you.
Yes.
But you're there to do a job, and sometimes when we're responding to shots fired where people have been struck by these rounds, whether they're innocent or just a victim just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yes.
These are individuals, this stick with the officers. And many times those are things that are memories that last for an extended period of time. But they do need to be able to reach out. They do need to be able to voice how they feel. They need that attention to be able to address their mental concern.
Of course.
So when they go to work, they're open-minded to be able to handle any situation. I'll use domestic violence. Everybody, not everyone, but you have some people that actually deal with domestic violence in their own personal lives.
Right.
And then when they come to work, they have to respond to domestic violence calls that may be similar to what they're dealing with at home.
Yes.
But they have to handle those situations in a different perspective, a total different mindset, because they now have to resolve the issue. Even shootings, we had a lot of tragedies that have taken place, even one recently at FSU.
Right.
These are families that are affected by this, but then think about the officers that respond to those calls.
Of course. The impact on them.
Yeah, so it's something that really needs to be addressed on a higher level, and we do need to have things in place. And there are programs that are out there. I know that Dade Chiefs actually offer great programs through Struggle Well, and then other mental, the peer support that they also offer for law enforcement. So it is something that is coming along and that's looked at, and it's becoming more attention to the various agencies in order to render the assistance that the officers do need.
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you.
Thank you.
You always communicate so beautifully, Dr. Assistant Chief Starks, I know on a personal level, on a professional level, but clearly in your capacity as Assistant Chief, communication is key. So can you please share with our students your perspective, your philosophy about how best to communicate, not only with your staff and your team, but also the community, and some of whom may be supporters of law enforcement, whereas others may not?
So I think communication is paramount. You can't get around any situation without having good and effective communication. When it comes to the workplace, we have to be able to have a better and an open line of communication with those that work under our leadership. that says a lot about the department. We have to be able to develop a more cohesive, collaborative environment through means of communication. You're going to have differences in different opinions in different aspects of life, but it's how you approach those situations, how you're able to communicate with not only just the officers, but the community.
Yes.
And you can't just talk down to someone because you are in a position of authority. And I have this value that I treat everyone the way I want to be treated. Someone that I truly value her opinion, she's just really stepped in and she became a big sister to me after I lost my sister. And she tells me all the time, just smile, because you have a beautiful smile. And that's what my sister used to tell me. So communicating not only with your family members, your friends, but whatever work environment, whatever you choose to do in the line of law enforcement or as a first responder or any other profession, you have to be able to be a good communicator. But most importantly, you have to be a good listener as well.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Very good. Dr. Assistant Chief Starks, I know how important community-based projects are to you, and you're involved in so many things, but may you share with our students some of those special programs that really mean a lot to you, and particularly where you're truly helping the youth of our communities.
Well, one of the things I started some years ago is Starks Elite Athletic Education and Leadership Organization. And basically that's geared towards developing our youth, keeping them actively engaged in extracurricular activities to including whatever sporting activity that is. And the majority of our kids either like basketball or football. And then we also help them out academically. They have done some things with other organizations, which pretty much shows them a different perspective on how they can develop themselves as youth. I have a great parenting and coaching staff that does a great job in monitoring and managing the kids where I don't have to worry about on a regular basis. But one of the things I was passionate is when we were able to take these kids out of town. When I first started the organization, it was just saddened to see that a lot of kids didn't have money. They didn't even have anything to get themselves anything when we went out of town. So it was just good to know that those that was there, the coaching staff that was there and the parents, we were able to cook for these kids. We were able to, of course, making sure they were taken care of. They just had a ball, even though they were there for another reason. It just shows how you're able to bring a group of young men and women together in order to at least show them a different perspective of life. Myself and my siblings, we grew up in a home of domestic violence. That's something I'm very passionate in speaking about. That's something that I really do value to give back to the community, to educate the community on. We were actually at a point to where we had nowhere to live, and my mother was finding places to make sure that we had some kind of shelter, because if we went to our grandmother's house, who lived in the city, my father knew where we were at. So he would come and pick us up, and then, of course, everything starts over again.
Wow.
So being able to discuss domestic violence, homelessness, and I'm in the process of now in trying to build some homes where they're affordable homes for people that are in need. And, you know, when you have a passion to give back based on what you've gone through, it always works you're going to have your obstacles, but it always works because you're doing it from the kindness of your heart. And one of the other things that I'm very passionate about is gun violence. I've had the opportunity to speak on that on a number of occasions, and it's something that the community needs. I also teach self-defense, mainly for women, but I have had men a part of that as well. But it's basically a survival mode in the event that you're on college campuses. How can you defend yourself until you're able to get to a different area so you can yell out and get help? So it's a basic self-defense type of training that I do provide to members of the community. And it's beneficial, and it's something that I feel passionate about in doing.
Wow. You are amazing, Dr. Assistant Chief Starks. As well as I know you, it just fills my heart to know all of this good that you're putting out in the community. And again, thank you for all that you're doing. And I know with all that you're doing, there are challenges. So perhaps you can share with our students some of the challenges that you think they need to be aware of if they're deciding to enter our noble profession.
Well, I can tell you law enforcement as a first responder is very beneficial. You have the benefits behind it. You have the medical, the dental. Those are other incentives. But the important thing about law enforcement is the way you treat members of the community, where your passion truly is. And that's where it's very challenging for law enforcement profession, because for years you now have to have the trust in the community to know that you're there to do the job. But it's really based on each individual officer on how they approach. Their first interactive action with the community makes a huge difference. And being able to just interact with the community, not in a negative, but if somebody do something in Virginia and it's something that tarnishes the badge, we all feel it across the nation.
Yes.
Another challenging moment right now for first responders is personnel shortage. There's a lot of people that just don't want to be in this profession, but then you have many that do, and it's just a matter of giving them the opportunity to just give them a chance, because you don't know where their heart is until they step across that next line.
Right.
When you get sworn in, now you're protecting and serving citizens of the community. But every profession has its ups and downs, but for law enforcement, there are a lot of good. And if you have a good, sincere heart and you want to give back to the community, I will highly recommend to get into law enforcement.
Wonderful.
Yes,
thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
And what do you think our students could benefit by knowing as they're thinking about what aspect of our field to potentially get into? But what do you think, as an assistant chief, the necessary skill sets are today? Because again, your career has spanned decades. But moving it forward, the needle is on 2025 and the future. What skill sets do you think are most important?
I think good communication for number one. Just keep a good, positive track record. As far as traffic citations, not getting tickets, not going out there getting yourself in a situation that you ultimately end up tarnishing your record. But just trying to maintain a good, ethical environment. Do things right. If you have the mindset that I'm going to treat everyone the way I want to be treated, then that's a good path into the direction of law enforcement. Be physically fit. You have to maintain some kind of physical agility. That's something that departments look for right away, because that's a part of the police academy. And having worked in that capacity as a training advisor for 15 years, that's one of the things that also help you with your mental mindset. Because now you're able to put all that stress, because the job can be very stressful. But if you have some form of outlet to help you focus more on your personal life, then you can be very, very successful in the field of law enforcement. But you just still have to make sure that you maintain your education. If anyone wants to pursue a career in criminal justice, I highly recommend that you do get your education. Get your bachelor's degree, your master's. I'm not going to say for you to get your doctoral degree, but at least getting those, you become more competitive.
Yes, excellent. And obviously, I echo those sentiments. As a professor, I think the more education and training and certification our students can acquire, it will make them a well-rounded professional in our field. And as you say, highly competitive for those important roles and promotion. And Dr. Starks, believe it or not, we are nearing the end of the program, although I would love to speak with you for much longer. But perhaps in the wrap-up, what just overall advice might you give the student for starting? What are some of the takeaways that you want them to know?
I would definitely say to make sure that you get your education. Learn as much as you can, because the foundation of law enforcement or criminal justice really is here at the college. There's a lot of information that's provided on the academic level that you will need to carry over into a police academy. A lot of it actually deals with legal. What information do you know with legal? Interpersonal skills, communications, that all of those are topics that are taught at the academic level. at the police academy. However, if you are here at St. Thomas University, you take the criminology courses, take the criminal justice courses to get that degree, because it will prepare you once you do decide that you want to be a law enforcement officer. Whether it's in crime scene or public service aid, you still have the educational background to support you.
Wow. I'm just delighted and honored that Dr. Assistant Chief Starks took time out of her busy schedule to join us today on Crime Time with Dr. Debbie. To our students, to our viewers, thank you so much, and please listen to her advice. She knows what she's talking about, and I couldn't be more proud of you as my friend and colleague, truly, for just your entirety of a career. I know how you are, the ethics, the leadership, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll say goodbye to you, and thank you again for tuning in to Crime Time with Dr. Debbie at STU, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.